In our industry, in our business, yes, every single day we're dealing with death. For us, I mean, it's a different family every time. Mm-hmm. It's a different situation every time. If I was, being forced to handle services for 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds every single day, I can guarantee you I'd be learning to cut hair.
Yeah.
But, the 101-year-old who got to see, all the different things that happen in 101 years. Uh-huh. It's still sad when those folks leave us. It'd be hard to cry at that one. And you can hear it. You can hear it amongst the people in the room. Some of the viewings and visitations are loud and boisterous because it is a celebration of the person's life.
How's it going, Derek?
It's going really well. How about you, Matt?
Pretty good. So, fun fact about Derek is he was my first official haircut at What Matters Company Barbershop.
That's right.
On November 19th, 2020.
Is that when it was?
So that's a fun fact about Derek. Something that I really admire about Derek is that from the first time I met him, I actually met you I cut your hair back in a bedroom.
That's right.
At my house.
That's right.
Which is so funny.
Dad's house.
Yeah, my parents' house. I have to admit it. I was living at home. But I digress. But what I've noticed is that you're always been like a community and a family man. And from even how you supported me from the get-go, talking about it and pushing it, and that's been always really encouraging to me, especially being someone who's like, man, I've never really spent much time in Hamburg besides, I worked here as a plumber for a few years. Right. But I didn't have, other than some people I met through that, I didn't really have too many connections with different business owners and things like that. You really kind of helped me out a lot in the beginning, and I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. I was excited.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was excited about it. I was excited about the barbershop coming.
Yeah, man.
We got barbershops, but this is what you do here is different, and more relaxing.
Yeah.
And anytime a young man, young person is trying to open up a new business, why wouldn't you want to support it? So
no, I appreciate that.
I didn't expect to be first, but when that happened, I was like, all right, it's great.
I was talking to your nephew, and he's like, oh, he's probably pretty happy about that he likes having those little badges.
I should have a plaque in here.
Yeah, I'll have your pictures taken somewhere.
That's right, yeah.
So we're doing the usual, the high bald fade, hard part, and then take some length off. Or what do you want to do with the top?
We can go off the top a little bit, yeah.
Keep it short for the summer still.
Yep. As long as we can comb it over a little bit.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep.
So, what would you say? Now, I know that also, I never met your father, but I know through what you've said and what a lot of people in town have said is that your dad really started the legacy of being community and family oriented.
Yeah, for sure. It's I think they always kind of say you don't teach something by forcing it on anybody. Mm-hmm. Just teach it, by the way you live. And the truth of the matter is, growing up, watching my dad be my dad, it just came naturally to myself, and honestly, I think all of my siblings, like, just, even both my parents, not even just singly my dad, it just was involved and cared about the community, cared about the people that are here in this town, and even just the surrounding area too. As I grew up and became older and, grew into the person I am today, it just kind of, I don't know how to properly describe it, but
because of
just who I became,
Yeah, because of his example, you wanted to live that life. You wanted to continue in that way because it was just what you saw and what you saw as positive.
Right. And honestly, you might even say it wasn't necessarily wanting to, but it was just natural. Like, it just happened,
Oh, that's
I didn't, cool. I think I got myself involved in certain things at a younger age, early in life, as a teenager, and different things that I didn't even realize would be the same things I'm doing today as an adult. Like the JCs with the King Frost Parade and different things. Like, Dad was involved in that and doing different things with that, and I got involved probably one random Friday night, the night before the parade, when I was probably 15, 16 years old, and now I'm still involved in it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, like I say, just example, just kind of following right through.
Yeah. And so to the people that aren't from Hamburg, if they're from Hamburg, they probably know who you are. If they're not, they might not. But your family had been running the King Frost Parade and kind of the fair in town and everything for a really long time, right?
Well, not my family, but so the Hamburg JC's, you know, service organization has been in the borough of Hamburg since 1952.
Wow.
Should know that.
Yeah.
But the Hamburg JC's organization, those are their two main events.
Oh, wow.
The King Frost Parade and last Saturday of October every year, and the Hamburg Family Festival, which is Memorial Day weekend at the park. The JC's organization runs both of those events, and my dad was a JC, and as like you said, anybody that's not from the area might not know, but anybody else that does know. I mean, Dad portrayed King Frost for 32 years. Majority of those 32 years, that was his really, you know, only involvement in the parade, other than supporting it and helping to do whatever, you know, needed to be done to try to make it happen. Yeah, like I say, so Dad was involved in that organization. Kind of just followed right into his footsteps with continuing on with it. But no, like I say, not my family running those events, but, you know, being a part of it, you know, and helping out. And it takes, they always say it takes a village to do something great. And I mean, it's really the way it is with events like that. You know, you need volunteers, you need people. I think one of the biggest things the JCs kind of struggle with a little bit, or one of the things that people oftentimes think about the JCs, is that it used to be an organization for 18 to 40.
Oh, wow.
I shouldn't say used to, it still technically is, but you know, in today's world, if you want an event to succeed and if you want traditions to continue, you know, it can't be all about age. We gotta just take the volunteers we can get.
For sure.
That's how it's been for the last number of years. But
yeah.
So back to you know, our involvement and everything like that. You know, it events like that bring people into our small town, into our community. Get to see what a beautiful gem of a town Hamburg is. What Hamburg can be. Yeah. And I mean, really, we just have like a love for Hamburg. It's a great town. Yeah. And for also the people that don't know you, what would you consider yourself? Like, I would say, you know, he's the funeral home guy. The funeral home guy. Yeah. You've introduced me that way before. I'm sure. Times. I'm sure you've got a more official and better sounding title than that, and probably more inclusive of what you actually do. I actually kind of like that. It's funeral guy. You know. Yeah. If I wasn't wearing this apron, you'd see my polo shirt. You know. Typically a little bit more on the casual side of the funeral business, and, you know, trying to make people feel a little more comfortable. So maybe funeral guy should be on my business card. I don't know. There you go. But no, I think what you're looking for is funeral director. Yeah. And third generation in Hamburg. My grandfather and obviously my sisters, our grandfather started the business in 1935. Wow. Right across the street here. So we're currently third generation funeral directors, and the fourth generation is slowly coming behind us. My nephew is in school right now and interested in becoming a funeral director, and he will represent the fourth generation. But for now, like I say, operating under third generation, and yeah, I mean,
It's pretty incredible.
It is.
Especially in today's day and age when you really don't see that very often of the next generation kind of taking over the last generation's career. It's kind of all about your own legacy, your own personal interests in things that are kind of make you excited about stuff. And it's less about kind of really leaning into a legacy of something that's been in the family.
Exactly. I mean, you see it all the time, especially in our industry, in the funeral industry. Mm-hmm. You often do see, the next generation joining in and taking over. Mm-hmm. And I think it goes just to touch again on the idea of tradition, mm-hmm. And legacy. I don't know. Really, it's always hard for me to describe exactly why I personally wanted to become a funeral director. Because again, the way I describe it to some of my friends, it ends up sounding like it was the easy way out. Like, I just followed Dad, But I don't mean it that way when I say that, because what I do mean is, again, watching Dad, live on his daily life and work every day and carry on and do whatever. He just enjoyed life so much. Mm-hmm. And enjoyed the people he was talking to and enjoyed the people he was working for and, all of those different things. And I mean, I guess as I grew up, it just was, as I got older and still living at home, obviously was around it. We lived at the funeral home. Mm-hmm. My dad always had a saying that he never worked a day in his life. It was just his life, Mm-hmm. He didn't go to work. He just woke up and became a funeral director,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, that's how I am. That's how I feel about it, I don't necessarily feel like I'm at work. I'm just, what I do on a daily basis is go to the funeral home and work, Mm-hmm. And I know I'm using the word work at the same time that I'm saying I'm not at work, but
yeah.
Obviously I'm at work, but
I think
it's a lifestyle more than a career, more than a job.
Yeah. That's what I think is like, when you're passionate about it, you actually will do more work.
Yeah.
But it's out of a different mindset than
Correct.
Like people that just go to work and it's not a passion, it's not a job that they really care about, or it's not something that they can find value in.
Yep.
What happens is it becomes, how can I get out of things instead of how can I get involved in a way that brings purpose to the people around me.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure as an owner, I know for me, it's easier as an owner to jump into that kind of part of the goal with a business, that you can say, okay, this is my personal goal, this is my personal thing that I've built. But I think it is even possible to work somewhere where you can say, hey, I agree with this goal, I agree with this kind of mindset, this kind of work ethic.
Yeah.
I want to join into that.
Yep.
Yeah. So this, and your industry, it's very much different than a lot of other jobs where like you kind of have to have passion for it, and you kind of have to be able to have a certain mindset. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are not cut out to do the job that you do.
Correct.
And, I would imagine talk a little bit about how like your relationship with jumping real heavy, but like jumping in with your relationship with death and that kind of stuff. How do you kind of live in this industry, which some people would probably be like, wow, that's got to be a pretty, like I've heard people talk about, man, I can't imagine doing that. That's got to be pretty like blah, pretty like pretty downer type of job. But I always see you as a very happy person. Yeah,
and I am typically. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing is in our industry, in our business, yes, every single day we're dealing with death. Mm-hmm. That's usually the way it is. Mm-hmm. But for us, it's a different family every time. Mm-hmm. It's a different situation every time. Mm-hmm. If I was, being forced to handle services for 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds every single day, or, God forbid, children.
Yeah.
If we had to deal with that every day, I can guarantee you I'd be learning to cut hair.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure those are not the easy days.
Those are the worst. Those are the worst days. The sudden deaths, the tragedies, the all those types of situations. Those are by far the worst days. For us. Of course, worst days for anybody. But the 101-year-old who lived for their entire life and got to see their great grandkids and got to see the Titanic sink and got to see all the different things that happened in 101 years. Although it's still sad when those folks leave us, I'd be hard to cry at that one. And I don't know. That's kind of always the way I've looked at it.
Yeah.
Every day's different. Every situation's different. Keeps it fresh. There's always a saying as well. There's fun in funeral. First three letters.
Yeah.
And again, while you don't cry or you don't laugh at every funeral, you do. You laugh at some funerals. And you can hear it. You can hear it amongst the people in the room. Some of the viewings and visitations are loud and boisterous because it is a celebration of the person's life. And then there's ones, like I say, the tragic loss. Those services tend to be very, very quiet, very, very sad, very, very reserved. And obviously I don't have to explain why.
Yeah, but for sure.
But it is amazing, like how that occurs. How that because nobody instructed anybody to laugh.
Yeah,
nobody instructed anybody to be telling jokes and telling stories and things. And nobody instructed anybody else to remain silent while in the room. On the flip side. But it's just a natural thing in society that in the way things are that it happens.
Yeah. I think it's kind of just a part of the human experience that like we all understand that nothing in this side of like eternity we can really count on.
Correct.
And when what I would imagine is just like there has to be a level of honor that you give those people in your industry that I'm sure you hear about there's plenty of crooked people in your industry.
Sure.
But there's also plenty of people that are like, what, this is something that is important to bring honor to these people.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that, you see a lot of times, with, like you say, bringing honor to the person's life is, trying to find as many ways to personalize the service as you can, so that it's not just your typical funeral.
Yeah.
Now, we're stopping shy of talking about a wedding planner.
Yeah.
But I always say a lot of times too, like what we do, we are almost like a wedding planner, because we'll do everything. We'll take care, try to take the burden off the family of making the arrangements and making, the plans and all the different things. But like I say, I think the best way to honor somebody is to do the funeral the way they lived their life.
Yeah. It takes a lot of intentionality.
It does. I had a family one time, said to me, well, if we wanted to bury him in his favorite clothing, we'd bury him in a Phillies shirt. And then everybody at the table was like, oh, no, he can't do that. It's like, why not? When's the last time he wore a suit? 30 years ago when his daughter got married. Well, why put him in a suit? Like, I don't know.
He'll feel constricted.
Well, like I say, if it wasn't him, then why make it him now?
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm a believer in it should be the way they lived.
Yeah.
Whatever made them comfortable while they were alive.
Yeah, it honors who they were and what they were. and what they stood for. And
right.
That's really neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And outside of work, I know that you're a huge family man. I know that you're a big celebration guy.
Yeah.
You got a vehicle. What is it called? The van?
The family fun bus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah. Yeah, we have a good time with that. So one of the biggest things that goes along with my parents is, the fact that there's 4 of us kids. And all 4 of us got married, so that makes 8. And all 4 of us have 2 kids each, so we're up to 16. Or did I do that math right? 4, yeah.
Someone on the video will definitely do that.
Somebody will let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
But it's so when you got a big family, you need a big van.
Yep.
But no, I mean we get together a lot. We spend a lot of time together as a family. Just my personal family, my wife and kids. I mean, there's a lot of times I probably should do more around the house than what I do. I know I should.
Yeah.
She tells me I should. And she's not wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, I try to keep my family one of the most important things in my life, you know, because they're, at the end of the day, they're the ones that are there, at home, and got the 2 boys, Calvin and Miles.
Yeah.
And my wife Andrea, and I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how life changes. Feel like I was just in high school, and now I'm married with 2 kids.
Yeah.
Both my parents are gone running the business, and it's just it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but
it is wild.
But yeah, I mean, Calvin played T-ball for the first time this year, and that was our first experience with him being in sports. And I mean, when you start seeing, they talk about that, like the glow in their eyes, when they're enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very, very, very evident, when he started playing T-ball.
Yeah.
And he's taken up a liking to fishing.
Oh, nice.
We were down at the beach last week, and I mean, he spends 3/4 of his day laying on the dock with a net, catching anything and everything.
Yeah.
And, it's just like, Miles will get there, Miles will be right next to him in a year probably, but for now he's more worried about, toys and dumping water into different buckets and stuff like that.
A little different stage of life.
Yeah.
But that's probably one of the really cool things about being a father is just watching that process.
It is, and I mean, I would hope that if anybody's honest with themselves, like, I think we all forget to be honest, and like forget to sit back and look at it, you know. I know I have definitely, taken for granted some of it,
Yeah.
But then there's other times where you just can't take it for granted. Like, it just kind of slaps you in the face at how lucky you are to have a family like that. And that's, even like beyond just my immediate family, my kids and my wife, like, the fact that we're lucky enough and lucky enough to be in a family, with 4 siblings who all get along,
Spouses that get along?
The spouses that all get along. Like, so many times you're faced with hearing these stories of, my sister, she lives elsewhere and I don't really talk to her, or, somebody else in the family. We haven't seen each other in 20 years. Like, it's so sad,
Yeah.
And I hate hearing about it,
Yeah.
I hate those situations, but and of course that's something we deal with in the funeral business. We have to.
Yeah, I guess you see that.
We get thrown right into the middle of family squabbles that we're there to do a job that we need everybody to kind of agree on at the time, and we do our best to be a mediator. But there's definitely times as well where you just got to kind of step out of the room and say, listen, you guys take your time, figure this out, please. I can't get in the middle. I don't want to be in the middle. I'm not part of it, And it's a struggle sometimes, with that stuff. But but everybody has their own situation, going on. But family is definitely a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
And probably will continue to be.
Yeah.
Probably forever. But
now, for being someone who is also very active in your job, there's a lot of people that their job is a huge part of their life. Like yourself. How would you encourage someone who's kind of been pretty wrapped up in what they're doing with their job, that they are missing out on their family and missing out on those things that you see firsthand a lot of times, like with the separation of families and kind of disassociation? How would you kind of encourage those people to connect back in?
I know of a personal friend of mine who he didn't get along with a family member. Didn't get along with. I'm never going to say his name on this video. But,
for sure.
He didn't get along with his brother for a while. Hadn't talked to his brother for a number of years, and one time another friend. What's the word I'm looking for? Mutual friend. Another mutual friend got in a conversation with this man, and he said something about his brother. And he goes, "You have a brother?" He said, "I didn't even know you had a brother." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I've known you for how many years?" He said, I never knew you had a brother." He's like, "Well, yeah, we don't talk too much and this and that and blah, blah, blah." And that mutual friend of ours looked him square in the face and he said, "Life is too short not to talk to the family that you have. Like, whichever one of you is wrong, swallow your pride and go talk to your brother." And in this particular story, he did.
Yeah.
He made a point to, kind of mend the relationship. And now the brother lives in a different state and always did, or has for the last number of years. And now, after mending the relationship the way they did, this person actually goes to visit his brother every year.
Wow.
And they have a decent relationship now. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying they're doing holidays together.
Yeah.
But they at least are acknowledging that they have a brother. They're talking, and they're getting to enjoy some years together,
That's awesome.
Which is always important to me. Again, being a family person, it's one of the biggest things that I can tell you that I see in the funeral business is how long life can be and how short life can be.
Yeah.
And I just don't believe that there's a reason to be mad at somebody for that long, and miss out, because
it's mostly affecting you.
What's that?
The person that's holding the grudge.
Right. Yeah. And I guess the hard part is if it's the other one that's holding the grudge and you can't fix it with that way, but
that is tough.
If I always think if the person that's holding the grudge can't, they need to just find a way to go and talk, just, it's so nice to have family, and I heard it many, many times, from everybody, from all different people that, some people don't think it is nice to have family, but it is.
When you have it.
When you have it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you even have family that's, spread around, but, it's nice if family's around,
Yeah. And I think the one thing that I find, I maybe have a little different perspective on it because my family's pretty spread out.
Right.
But I see some people in my family being really, really distant and other people being really close. but not putting an expectation on family or on friends in a way that people feel like if you're not this for them, then it's all bad.
That's right.
But realizing that, hey, everyone's got different lives, different places, and you can just love what you have from that family.
That's right.
And I think that's the important thing for me is like, don't put expectations on anybody. Love what they have to bring, and bring the love that you can bring to the situation. And that's about the best you can do. And when everyone can take off any expectations of each other, you'll probably have closer relationships.
Yeah.
But when it's always like, oh, well, who's giving what, or who's, it's a competition, it's never good.
That's right.
But yeah, I'll show you this haircut. What do you think, Derek?
It's pretty good.
Good?
Yep. Back to normal.
Yeah.
Back to normal.
Hey, thanks for joining, Derek.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. It was fun.